everyone, so it is Friday, which means I'm just doing a chatty video where I talk about all the things that I have been reading this week, what I finished, what I have started, what I'm in the middle of, and I have actually recorded this video. This is the third time. The first time I lost the footage, it just shows up as blank on my phone. I don't know what happened. And the second time I tried to record it while I was outside while my kids were playing earlier this afternoon, but the wind was so loud you couldn't really hear me. So here we are, third time. They're doing iPad time. So hopefully there will be no problems this time as long as my phone doesn't decide to delete this video. So here we go. So you know, I'm not gonna go into details on the things that I have finished because my mid-month wrap-up should be up sometime in the next week. I'm planning on recording it over this weekend. So I'm just gonna tell you if I liked it or didn't like it, and then you can check out details of why when that mid-month wrap-up comes out, if I can talk. So the first thing is something that I talked about that I was reading during last Friday Reads was Romancing Mr. Bergerten, which is the fourth book in the Bergerten series. I was trying to just give this series a try because we have been watching the show. And yeah, I kind of hated the book, this book. I don't know if I would hate the rest of the series, but I'm not going to give it a try because I really did not like this. And yeah, I'm just hit or miss when it comes to historical romance. There's certain authors that I like the tropes they use and the way they build a relationship, but this did not work for me. I did not enjoy it. I'll tell my details, later. And then also I talked about that I had been reading Ain't Burn All the Bright by Jason Reynolds and Jason Griffin. And last week when I was talking to you, I had read this through once, but then I have read it 2 more times, and now I'm counting it as having read it, and I really enjoyed it. I think the multiple readings was really important because it's more of an art piece. Each page has some art on it and then just a little bit of text. So it reads really quick. So the audiobook's only 13 minutes long. So I listened to it on audiobook and then read it through, taking my time, focusing on the pictures. And then I listened to, there's 2 actual editions of the audiobook. When you get the audiobook from the library, they read it twice. Once by the author and then the second time by a whole cast. And so I ended up listening to it twice and then read it slowly through the second time to really concentrate on the pictures. And I really love this. I felt like I got something new out of it every time I read it. And yeah, I really like what they were doing with this project and how current it feels, how much it feels like what we were going through in 2020. And yeah, I really like that one. And then I picked up The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austin Stigman Broca. And I had this on my new releases video. And even though that was an anticipated new releases, I don't want to say that I was completely anticipating this. This was one of the ones that I said was going to be a last chance for this author duo because I haven't liked the last 2 books that they had written. I enjoyed the first 2, didn't like 2, and then I wanted to give this one a try since it's their first adult book. And I thought, well, maybe I'm just done with young adult and that's why I haven't liked their last 2 books. But I really didn't like this book. So I am done with this author duo. This was a huge disappointment for me. Based on the topic, it's about 2 writers, and they are a writer duo, and the characters in the book are a writing duo. They had a falling out on their last novel, and now they have what's it called? A contract that they have to write another book, even though they hate each other now. And so it sounds like a really interesting concept, and yeah, I think they ruined it. Was not good in my opinion. And then the last one that I finished was I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai, and this was the Young Readers edition. I had started it during middle grade March, but then I was listening to it on audio and the audiobook got returned, and I could have just read the physical book since I have it, but once I've started on one method, I kind of like to finish it that way, and so I was waiting for the audiobook, but loved this one so much so that I bought the adult version, so someday I can read the adult version. But yeah, definitely really liked that one and hearing her story. And then I did finish 4 more volumes of manga. I mentioned in my video last week that I'm doing a video where I try manga for the first time. I have posted that video, so if you want to see it, I'll link it down below. So I won't tell you what I thought about these, but I did finish the first volume of Full Metal Alchemist and Spy Family and The Promised Neverland and One Piece. So I did the first volume of each of those and talked about those in that video I'll link below. And then I also read the first volume of Death Note for that video, but I didn't count this as fully read because this edition has 2 volumes in it, so I want to finish the other volume, the second volume, before I count this as finished. So this is currently reading. I would like to finish off this bind up, hopefully this week, that'll get finished. And then I have 4 books that I am currently reading. The first is one I mentioned last week. I am listening to Arusha and the City of Gold with my daughter. We're listening to this on audiobook when we're in the car, and we got a huge chunk of this read this morning because we drive to this nature class that takes us about like 40 minutes each way. So we are actually like close to the end, so like almost 300 pages into this, and I'm still really enjoying the series. I love the characters. I love the world that's created and the way it weaves in mythology. This is not my favorite so far in the series because I don't necessarily love the way she is like setting out the plot in this one. Like there's always been mythology woven into all of these books, but the way she's doing it in this one, it's kind of like a little too spoon-fed. Like they're going on a quest and they like accomplish a task, and then somebody comes and tells them a story related to that task and how it relates to mythology and some kind of like virtue that they're learning. And then they go off and they complete the next task. And when that task is done, a person comes or a person that was there during the task tells them a story that happened from mythology that relates to their task, and it keeps happening over and over again. So it's making this plot seem way too repetitive and kind of dragging a bit for me. I'm still like probably gonna give it a 4-star because, like I said, I love the characters, the world. I like the overall arc of like what's happening in the like series, but in terms of like a single installment in the series, this is probably my least favorite so far, just because of the way she decided to tell the story this time. It's different than the other ones. It's a little more, like I said, telling you directly instead of it just being part of the book. And then another one that I had mentioned last week that I'm still in the middle of is The Ogres and the Orphans by Kelly Barnhill. And this one I'm going so slow on. I'm only like 100 some pages in, and it's like basically where I read like a chapter a day, and that's like all I'm interested in reading, and then I want to move on to something else. And it's not that I'm not liking it, it's just so slow the way it's written. It's not plot driven at all. Like at this point there's like no plot happening. It's just like introduction of the characters and the town and how they treat each other, and just kind of creating this whole world like based on how the people of this town, something happened, like a fire happened, and you know, before people trusted each other and worked together, but then after the fire happened, you know, people started to be suspicious of their neighbors, and the mayor kind of has led this whole like suspicion and kind of made it so that people aren't really trusting each other or talking to each other and mostly just stay to themselves. And so like I think she's setting up like a whole moral plot line of the story, and so it's more of a moral piece, a fable kind of thing, than actually plot driven. But this is long for something that's just like fable, and so I'm hoping that we will get some plot mixed in with the kind of like moral fable. I'm hoping, but right now I'm just going very slow. My buddy reader is also Amanda from the Curly Reader. She's also going really slow, so at least we're not like, you know, dragging each other down. Like we both are like, we're just taking it one chapter at a time. And then the next thing that I'm listening to is Malice by Heather Walter, and this is kind of a Sleeping Beauty retelling, and it is like where the Sleeping Beauty character has a relationship or falls in love with the evil fairy character, except for that's how it's pitched, but it's not exactly, because she's not like the evil fairy that put the curse on Sleeping Beauty. She's just from the same race of fairies. Because I went in thinking like, why would she, is this gonna be like Stockholm Syndrome? Like why is she falling in love with the person that cursed her? But that's not it. Like our main character, Alice, is not the fairy that actually cursed Sleeping Beauty. She is just from like a descendant or from the same like type of fairy. So that made it a lot better for me, and I'm really enjoying the characters in this one. It's a super slow burn romance because I'm like halfway through and there hasn't been any romance yet. It's just like a friendship, but I am liking Alice, our main character. I like the world that's created in this. I'm interested to see where it's going in terms of a retelling of the myth and like what's gonna happen to our Sleeping Beauty character. Yeah, and I'm just really enjoying it so far. It's only a duology, and the second one is coming out sometime this year, so I like it when things are just like 2 books and we get to like build a lush world, but we don't have to like go on and on and on. I like a duology. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the Countess Conspiracy by Courtney Milan. It's a historical romance, and I picked this up after really not liking the Bridgerton book. I wanted a historical romance that I could like get behind the relationship more. And so I was hoping this one would work for me because I have read several of the ones in the series. I like Courtney Milan as a writer. This is book 3 in the Brother Sinner series, and these characters in this have been in the like rest of the series as side characters, so I knew I liked them as characters. I knew that they have like a great like banter kind of relationship, and that's exactly what I wanted. So far, I'm liking the characters better. We'll see. I'm not very far in. I'm only like 50 pages in. So we'll see as it goes if I actually enjoy their relationship and end up liking that book. Because like I said, historical romance is very hit or miss for me. I can either really get behind the tropes or I can like not enjoy what's going on. Yeah, and that is it. That's everything I've been, I have finished this week and things that I have picked up or continued. Yeah, there are some things that I mentioned in last week's video that I have not touched this entire week, because that's just how I am. Sometimes I just put something down. It's not like I'm not liking it. I just like get in the mood for something else. And that is the problem of a mood reader. I end up like with a ton of things at once. So if you want to check out my thoughts on those manga, I will link that video down below. I had a really great time with that experiment of trying manga for the first time. So I'd love it if you could go and watch it. And then you'll see my mid-month wrap up pretty soon, where I talk about some of the things that I have finished, well, all the things that I have finished so far in this month. And that's it for me. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Bye.